Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode here on the Mindful Experiment. Just a little housekeeping as always. In the show notes, you will find I have a waitlist for a course called Unlock Your Greatness. This is going to be a two-part. You can either choose to do it on your own or you can do it in a group coaching session. We are going to be unleashing this very soon. So I highly recommend jumping on the waitlist. You'll get a significant steep discount that won't be marketed anywhere else. Hope that creates some urgency with that. You're not obligated to sign up if you join the waitlist. It's just to get the information before the public sees it first. So this is a course of my 21 year spiritual journey, scientific journey, soul life, everything that I've accumulated in the last 41 years of my life, and what I've come up with so far that I believe, based on the science and everything else I'm seeing, of how to truly unlock that greatness and return back to your source. What is source, and so much more. So I highly recommend, if you're looking to level up in your life, find more fulfillment, whether you're a business owner or not, it does not matter. This is the stuff I used to teach my coaching clients a lot. And I've put this in now for the public to see and much more. It's going to be something that is never been shared. I've studied over about 80 to 100 different masters and mentors and mystics and sages and gurus, to put it all together and then see what I saw, the loopholes and everything, and then how you can benefit in your life with this. So check it out, join the waitlist and much more. So, and as always, if you like the podcast, subscribe, like, share, review. It really gets this movement out there, as we're really, we're top 1% global podcast in the world. And I want to thank you for listening to it. And I want to make sure that we continue that message as we keep growing and expanding into 24 and into 24 here and going into 25. So I titled this podcast called Trump Wins, because politics has been so divisive in so many ways, to where I thought this is a great moment for those who, well, one, if you're really excited that Trump won, or you're really upset that Trump won, this podcast is for you. Like I said in the description, this is not going to be political. I can promise you that. But whether it's one or the other, I want to share a fresh reminder to all the listeners that, because these are really deep triggers. I mean, I've been seeing videos of people crying and screaming and think their whole life is ruined now, and all these things just because of it. And I'm just like, okay, this is a great opportunity to share this info. Remember in life that, and this is all aspects of your life, this happens with relationships and business and life and career, every facet of your life. When something triggers you, that is your heart and mind trying to help you be aware that you have healing that needs to be done. I'll say that one more time. When something triggers you, that is your heart and mind, could be one or the other or both, is trying to tell you and show you from your outer world, this is something that you need to heal. That's within you. Okay. And majority of the time, it's not what you're seeing in front of you. So those who are like really excited that Trump won, that hit a lot of shopping list stuff. And don't get me wrong, to be very transparent, I'm kind of happy because he has Kennedy in his background, and Kennedy has been bashed by media for the longest time. He's going to do a lot of great things in health. A lot of chiropractors, a lot of people in the holistic health space love this guy because he brings real hardcore science and so much more. That is my 2-second window about all that. So I'm excited to see what he's going to do. But at the end of the day, if you like it or if you didn't, this is a great opportunity for you to heal, to take some time to say, why am I letting something that you really can't control disturb your inner peace, right? The second is soak it in as deep as you can, okay? Now, why am I saying to soak it in? A lot of times, whether if it's pain, everyone says, was it a good experience or a bad experience? There's really no such thing as good or bad experiences. It's just whatever you dictate it to be. And most of the time, you're dictating that from your subconscious mind. It's a shopping list, literally what you check off. This is good or this is bad, and that's it. It's something that reminds you of a traumatic event. It's going to be bad. And something that reminds you of something of a positive event. It's going to be good. That's how we determine things in our adult life. So, and this is pure neuroscience, neuropsychology, and so forth. So when you're looking at then, okay, well, you're telling me not to be happy or be sad. No, embrace the moment. If you're happy, be happy. Be happy for whatever it may be. If you're sad, soak that pain in and learn from it. Again, where's the learning experience? You have something to heal from. Because I shared in previous podcasts, your heart and your mind is always looking to heal. It's always trying to show you what you have to work on. It wants you to have the fullest expression. This is why I never understood, and I fell for this in the beginning when I got into spirituality and all this stuff, that, oh, the ego, the mind, you got to overcome it. The ego is your enemy. And I went down that path very short, and then I started to realize, wait a minute. I understood this one principle of the universe that relates actually in nature, and it actually relates to your body. The body, nature, and universe does not create anything out of a want. It's always a need. I talked about this in my first book, Rediscover Your Greatness. And it's one of those things I started to realize going, okay, if the body doesn't make anything out of a want, it's only out of a need. That's also diseases too. Then I was sitting there going, this ego is not bad. It serves a purpose. There's something good about the ego. And it took me on a rabbit hole for about a whole year. And I started to understand that actually our ego is what allows us to survive. It what allows us to evolve as a human species. It allows us to expand and evolve from technological things to you name it. Okay. It's there for a purpose. It is a beautiful purpose to have. The problem is where I found they took it to the extreme, and us humans, we do that a lot, is I started to see that, well, because we lead a life by your ego, will lead you a life into dismay, imbalance, and all these other things. And that's something I learned over a period of time. And I said, oh, interesting. So I can't let my life be led by my ego. That's what inspired me to write my first book. It kind of opened the door. I talk about the ego in there a lot. And I talk about how leading your life with the ego makes your life very colorless. The more you do it, the more mute it's going to be. And I share about children and why is it that a child, like I have a 2-year-old, and it's amazing, every morning or every day at least, we read some books. My goal is at least 5 to 10 a day with her. That's just with me. And what if I told you it's the same book I'm reading every single day? How boring does that come? Parents, right? Here's a trick for you. Read it like you never have before. Then you say, I don't want to deal with that, but get in the present and read it like you never did. That's the only thing that helps me. Like I literally will read a book, and some of them you're just like, oh, I can't. This book is repeating there's one we're going on a bear hunt, and something, and it's like the same 4 phrases here, couple things here, same phrases on the bottom, and then it's just new phrase, and then it goes through the same and it's like 6 of these, and I'm like, okay, but it was a bigger challenge, right? And I just got into the present. I know my daughter loves it, and I'm like, I'm just going to be here with her, and then to be reading it like it's the first time ever. And that helps you shift out of that. So coming back then to the mind and the brain, right? It's that we don't want to lead with it. Don't let it dictate your life because it tells you what your experiences are going to be. This is what a lot of people talk about, the living in the present or the power of now, like Eckhart Tolle talks a lot about, and things like that. It's coming back into this moment of just being here, right? And just being right here, trying to make it the first time ever. Because let's face it, no two experiences are ever the same. And so with that being said, even though you're doing something for a repeat, the experience is not the same. It might be 99.9% there, but guess what? 0.1% different. And so hopefully that helps a little bit there. But the essence of what I want to get to here is that when we look at our lives, this is an opportunity for you to really take a viewpoint of what do I have going on inside? What is the mind paying attention to? That's making me pay attention to something, because we always have atoms and molecules and photons always coming in. The brain's rendering that to an image, and an image is created based upon your past conditioning, when influences of the matrix and so forth. So when we look at those kind of things, then we say, okay, great. That's what's coming in. Wow, my mind's really honed in on this. I had an invested interest in this. Why? What if, and it doesn't matter what side you're on, but I'm using politics in America to kind of help use this story for when it comes to aspects of your life. When you're trying to hold on to something, you got to ask why you're holding on to something. And I get caught up in this too, guys. Trust me, my wife has sometimes, she'll remind me, hey, that's scarcity thinking. That you think this is the only good thing that can happen out of it. And then I'll do some meditation work, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh, that's the ego I was leading by. Man, you got me again. And then I have to reset and say, there's something that's going to be better. There's also, if this doesn't work, then this will happen. If this doesn't work, then that will happen. Something's always going to come. There's always something happening. And I learned this. I understood this kind of stuff, But then life, experiential, it's like knowledge and experience, two different worlds. And so then I'm like, well, man, I'm experiencing, this is tough. This isn't easy. I'm not trusting. I'm not this, I'm not that. And then I started studying stocks, and I wanted to get into like day trading. I thought it was a great thing to do, make a little side income, have fun. I like technical analysis. There's a science to it. You can be about 70% of the time correct. I was like, this is beautiful. This is right up my alley. And one of the things is it came up, scarcity thinking, because I'd have something that I miss and I'd be so bothered thinking I'll never have that opportunity. And the guys in the groups I was a part of are always like, there's always opportunities. There's always gonna be a new one. Don't let it get to you. And over time, I learned, it took me about 1.5 years, 2 years. So I was a slow learner at this. I started to understand that there is always opportunities, that it's not this one thing that's going to do it. Okay. There's always going to be new things. So I might be getting a little off tangent of what I wanted to talk about here. But one of the things is that, again, the mind and the heart are always working for you to help you become more whole, to become as whole as you possibly can, to blend in that spiritual element of who you are, the true essence of who you are in this human experience, and to embrace this journey and just embrace being human and soak up all the array of those emotions. Because when we hold on to something, whether we were pulling it away or we're holding on to a moment and everything has to align to that moment or else. And like I said, I did a couple podcasts ago about this. That is going to create more disharmony within yourself. It's going to shift your perspective into seeing things in more in a negative way. That's why in politics, when the person that wins an election, they all of a sudden, if they're on their candidate didn't win, then all the stuff that was said there, they think it's going to happen. Their mind shifts only into that one point, and then they think that's how it's going to be, instead of keeping it more broad and more open. And it's one of the things where you have an objective observation without being emotionally attached. I was getting in a conversation. Someone said that something about spiritual entrepreneurs and being hard or hard along those lines or something. And I said, if you're truly a spiritual entrepreneur, nothing's hard in life. And I think that was misconstrued to what I was trying to share. And it's one of the things that when you are in a true higher consciousness level, it doesn't mean that you're never going to experience pain, anger, or frustration. You do experience the human emotions. You actually embrace all of them and you soak them in. But it's the flowing of that and surrendering of them, though. You take it in when you need to, go through it, soak it in, right? Pain, experience, whatever. And then you let it go and let it teach you. And when you can do those kind of things, then all of a sudden you're now more in a harmony with life. And it's not that was a bad experience or this is a good experience, because there really is no good or bad experiences. You come into this experience as a soul to gain and experience human experiences. You want to experience what it is being this person at this time in this era of life based upon this background and this and all these other things. And you choose this life to have in a certain way. And there's certain experiences that you're going to go through. All they are is experiences. And when we can stop giving the emotional charge and putting a charge on them, right? Because emotions is energy in motion. You put a charge to it. And when you're thinking about it only in one way, you get tunnel vision into that one way. And this is where all of a sudden now you are going to have an experience where I'm going blank here on this because I wanted to talk about the mind and how that focuses on it. But you have this now, you're allowing these emotions to come in and you're honing in and tunneling into that one, and it disrupts the whole experience. Everything. Every single facet, instead of letting surrender into that journey and just surrendering to the process, surrendering to the element of what it is, because your soul, again, coming back to the point I remember now, is your soul wants to have that experience, and that's what it's here for. That's you at the end of the day. That's your source. That's the true essence of who you are. So embrace the experience and then let it go. Let it teach you. It was there for a reason. You're in this moment at this time being frustrated for a certain point. Everybody in the world went through a pandemic to teach them something. Some, it was gain more clarity on what they really want, breaking out of a pattern, seeing that they can actually, there's other ways of doing things than what they thought there was before. There's so many elements that came out of that, and people ended careers and went a different route, all this different stuff. And there's more to it than just that. But again, it took a pandemic for us to see something. It had to stress us in a certain way to do that. And so that's the elements I'm trying to get here today, is that when you're looking at whether with a candidate who won or this or that, really be mindful of your life and look at, okay, what is the purpose of this and why is this here showing up today? What is the purpose of this? And it's not even knowing why. It's just, here's the reason why I'm feeling. I need to understand that everything happens for a reason and everything's here to serve me. If I'm really, really being bothered by this, how do I be okay with it? Number one, embrace it in, then get okay with it. And then from there, let it go. Stop holding on coal in your hand, and just continue to hold on to stuff. Let it go. Drop it. That's all you have to do. It's a lot of times we're holding on to something that's hurting us and hurting and hurting and hurting, right? An experience that we don't enjoy, but we haven't been taught that emotions are waves. They come and go. That's part of the process. It's part of this journey. No one has a blissful life all the time. Even spiritual masters will say it. They go through different experiences, but they see it differently. See, when they go through something, they embrace it because they know there's going to come a time that's not going to be there anymore. And they know there's going to come a time there's going to be something else there. And this has been very hard for me, especially a type A driver. I was always taught, spirituality is bliss, and that's all it ever is. And it is bliss all the time. And you can have bliss all the time. I've learned that too. And these are extreme sages and mystics that get to these levels. But that doesn't mean we can't try doing it either. It doesn't mean I can't practice at it. It doesn't mean that, the only thing I know at this point in my life, and I read a book on this called The Walk in the Dark, I talk a lot about this, is that there's elements in life that when we can learn to dance with life, then we're in a state of bliss all the time. We're in a state of joy. Yes, short-term pain, short-term this, but we have what Buddha called an empty mind. We don't have a personal preference or judgment to it. We don't make things personal to us. This is the whole thing coming back to the ego being our enemy. Because when we look at the ego is there to serve us in many ways, like I shared. But you also have to understand, you have the most brilliant mind in the world, okay? The mind is better than any super technology that we'll ever come up with. I even think quantum computing can't even keep up with how powerful the mind is and what it can do and what it can process in just a split of a second. I mean, when I studied neuroscience and I still do, but when I looked at like one split second of an image, all the data that the brain takes in and pays attention to without your consciousness being aware, it's mind blowing of how it can memorize all that stuff in just a split second. It's crazy, right? And it's one of those things that when you really understand that and really grasp that, it's a game changer. And you realize how powerful this mind is. But yet we were trained to condition it in the wrong way. We judge things and we make things personal to us. You don't believe me? Have somebody write you a text message or an email, and it's said in a certain way that you all of a sudden start judging and think it's negative. This is why there's so many arguments on Facebook and social media. I'm not saying people don't have a negative, people are a lot easier to say things behind a keyboard. That's a fact. I always tell people, like, people will say things via social media and comments and stuff, but I know they wouldn't say that in person to the person. But at the end of the day, it's really coming to this place of lost my train of thought with the Facebook stuff today. I'm just losing a lot of train of thoughts today, but it's coming back to the process of with the I don't know. I'm gonna go back to letting go. So we'll go there, but it's that element of it. And so in today's episode, what I wanted to really just share with y'all is going to be that one, when you're bothered or extremely happy, one, soak it in. Two, surrender to experience. Stay empty-minded. Like, that was a great moment. I had a great time. I was present. I enjoyed it. Hey, I had a painful moment. It wasn't fun, but I stayed present with it and I soaked it up as much as I can. 3, storms always pass. Sunshine eventually goes away. So understanding that basic principle, this is nothing new rocket science I'm trying to share with you guys. This is stuff that's just hardcore science stuff that will help you ease in this process, ease in this journey, right? Always know that everything works out for the greater good. It always does. Don't believe me. Don't. Go look at your life. Look at the moments when a door closed, another one opened. Yeah, I was talking to a patient that had a door closed, and I kept telling her, I'm like, stop focusing on the door closing or stop trying to slow it down from the closing of that door. You're going to miss out on the other doors that are opening that are even better. And I said, you don't have to believe me. Just look at your life. And she said, thanks for telling me that. She goes, she started looking at her life really quick. And she goes, man, I remember a time I wanted something and it didn't happen. And I was so frustrated. And then the next day, something even better came. And I looked and I was like, there's your proof. It always works out for the greater good. You just got to believe in it. It may not be in the timing you want, but it'll be there when you need it. God gives you what you need, not what you want. You got to get what you need first before you get what you want. So, and the last in that, but just surrender. Use the breath. Okay, if I give you anything, if you're struggling with this, use the breath. This whole transition, president winning and all that, use the breath. The breath will guide you. It will calm you, neutralize you. And at the end of the day, I didn't share this. I want to leave this one last point with you. Nothing from the outside world can fix the inside world within oneself. Nothing from the outside world. It doesn't happen from outside in. It happens from the inside out. In my last book, Decoding Your Matrix, that I've written, my most recent, I talk about this in the element of presidency, and I talked about that in my first book, but I took it deeper into the element that in order to truly make change in life, it comes from within the people, not from a top-down process. Nothing does that. And so it has to come from within. Everything's energy, everything's consciousness, everything's interconnected and intertwined. There's the law of quantum entanglement, right? Everything is entangled within. And this comes from a spiritual truth that everything's all connected. We're all one. The one is all and the all is one. And so that principle, quantum entanglement, ties into all that. We are all interconnected. And so if we want to make a better world or a better place, it comes from within ourselves. If we want to see, some spiritual people will be saying things like, we're in the stage of Aquarius. Jesus is going to, Christ consciousness, not Jesus, Christ consciousness is going to return back to the people, and we're all going to elevate and be able to ascend and do all these other things. It all comes from within. You have to continue to heal within, and we can move this world to a more positive place. And the thing is, then the people will rise who are called to it, who are destined at that time to do the things they'll need. And you'll be called to what you need to do, because it's called inspired action, the law of inspired action, or inspired action in general, or effortless success that leads from inspired action. And so just trust the process, trust the journey, but keep working within and keep working on yourself, and know that everything's going to work out. Everything is going to work out for the greater good in one way or another. Focus on what you can control. Don't give much energy to what you can't. It's not worth it. At the end of the day, it's not worth it. And I'm somebody who was the opposite of that, so I can relate to that. I was the type of person, if I saw something I didn't like, I'm going to go ahead and make sure, move, influence, whatever I have to do to make a shift. I've learned now, and I've been more powerful in this way. I don't have to say much. I just need to continue working on me. And it's amazing how that power of influence, or power in general, is vastly different. And the synchronicities and all these other things that come from it. When you hone in on that energy of what your focus is, and so much more. So I want to thank you for tuning in. This is what I got for you guys. I hope this helps. I don't prep anything for my podcast. I literally just think of a thought and go. So if it was coming off a little bit, I really wanted to stay away from the politics of everything and just really hone in and use it as an example for a teaching tool. I always look for ways to learn and educate myself in this ways. And I think it's great also for others to do the same. So again, recap: embrace in yourself, brace the moments, brace the experiences, embrace the emotions, and let them come in fully to whatever you can handle. Okay. Then from there, take what you can and learn and enjoy, and know that it's going to pass. And then from there, surrender to the journey in the process. Just keep breathing. Use breath work. All right. I'm going to put in some, if you're following me on any of the socials, I'm going to be doing a breathwork session that I'm going to put together. And it's really because of just talking with people in the times of this society, and we're getting in the holidays and all this stuff. I'm going to be doing this for my patients, and I figure I'm going to do this for everything. I'm going to put a breathwork session together that's really going to help you as an individual really just tap deep into resetting and reconnecting with oneself, getting out of your mind and tapping back in more into your source. And again, my program is going to do a ton of this and much more. We're going to have tools and tips and meditation, all this stuff that we're doing in there. Like I said, you're going to get a lot more of me from a spiritual elements and other things that we will do in that process, and other tools I'll be sharing. So make sure you join that wait list. And again, if you're listening to the podcast in the recording or on YouTube or wherever, subscribe, like, share a review. That way it helps the podcast get out there more. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple or wherever you listen to the podcast, I appreciate that. And join our Facebook group. We're looking to grow it and expand it. For now, we're going to use Facebook. Hopefully the censorship starts to die down more and I don't get more strikes for health things I share. And hopefully then I can, I'll keep it. But eventually I may have to take it offline. We'll see how that goes. Appreciate y'all. Until next time, keep rocking and rolling.